Kobe Bryant was like the next thing to Michael Jordan. He's amazingly great. LeBron's even better, primarily because he's 2 inches taller and 40 pounds heavier. I mean, he's just a bigger player who has many of the same skills Kobe does. Kobe was better at making difficult shots than maybe anyone who ever lived, right there with Jordan. But LeBron doesn't have to take difficult shots because he makes his whole team take easier shots, which is actually a more valuable skill, except sometimes the way it feels late in games in the fourth quarter, it feels like the guy who can hit the difficult shot may be better than the guy who creates the easy shot, though it's not true. Look, statistical analysis says LeBron is clearly better than Kobe. And in terms of the championships, which I think it is important to count championships when you're talking about the best player or one of the two best players on a championship team, LeBron was always unquestionably the best player on every team he played on. Kobe played with Shaq, where he was really 1B to Shaq's 1A when they win the three-peat. I mean, Shaq won the MVP of the finals every year. You could argue Kobe was bigger against the Spurs, and that was really the finals in the West back then. But at any rate, when you just count championships, that also misses something if that's the only thing you're doing. Magic and Bird is still an argument. Bird got 3, Magic got 5. I think there's an acknowledgement that Magic was playing with a slightly better team, at least with a deeper bench, than Bird was. And Bird got hurt, so that limited, the championships. So it's not just about championships. In a tiebreaker, maybe you would look at championships. The truth of the matter is, by all analysis that all the empirical evidence says, it doesn't need to come to a tiebreaker. LeBron's the best player since Michael Jordan. Kobe was better than Duncan, maybe not as good as Shaq. There's no one in the argument with LeBron in this entire era. He spent more time as clearly the best player in the world than any player in my lifetime except Michael Jordan.
Well, listen, in that regard and from that vantage point, I agree with you about LeBron James being a better talent. My problem is we don't take the intangibles into consideration nearly as much as we should. And let's look at it from the analysis that you threw out there about Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Well, Larry Bird, to me, was a better individual talent because he could shoot considerably better than Magic. He was a fabulous passer at the forward position as well, and obviously he won championships, just not as many. The reason why you love a comparison like that, Max Kellerman, is because both of them could be relied upon in the clutch to do whatever it is that they do to accentuate their greatness. Whoever they were, whatever made them great, they didn't leave that at the door when money time arrived. When we look at LeBron and Kobe, that's where I think we part ways. Because even though LeBron has matured to that point where there's no longer a question about that at where he's concerned for a lengthy period of time in his career, it was a huge question. I have religiously stated for the first 46 minutes, I'll take LeBron James over almost anybody in the world all time, with the exception of maybe Jordan. And even that is a maybe. The problem is that when you get to that money time, that clutch, where you sit up there and everything breaks down and you grab the ball and you say, here, take me to the promised land. LeBron is not somebody that's going to be on that list most of the time in a lot of people's eyes. And nobody is going to question that Kobe would be on that list. When money time arrived and it was time to give him the ball, whether it was in the finals against Indiana, whether it was 2001 in the postseason, whether it was 2010 against Boston, or times in between, Kobe at a younger age was so sensational. LeBron had to grow into that role for a significant period of time, and that's the difference. What LeBron learned to have, Kobe had, MJ had. And here's the last point, Max. LeBron was pushed to that elevated level of play. Kobe took it. MJ took it. These are guys that you knew from the moment that moment arrived, they belonged there. LeBron was pushed, coached, nurtured, tutored into that elevated position. That is the difference.
I agree with that. And had we been having this discussion, even one championship that they won after he choked in Dallas in 10-11, in the 2011 championship when LeBron choked in 4 fourth quarters. In fact, I went on LA radio and apologized, openly to Kobe Bryant fans for saying look, I was wrong about LeBron being better than Kobe. He doesn't, he just choked, and Kobe would never have had a performance like that. Okay,
just not crunch
so
time.
LeBron had to grow into what he grew into. But my God, what does he have to do to eventually prove it? Like, isn't it even more interesting that he was actually able to develop into this and do what he's done the last several finals?
Question for you. And I'll just ask this, because as a basketball guy, I have my own opinion. It wasn't just the fourth quarters against Dallas. There's 4 times that LeBron hasn't shown up in the fourth quarter of an NBA Finals. I think 2007 was one, 2011 another, 2014, 2015. Fourth quarters, he wasn't around to be found in some of those situations. There's no doubt. But he has matured to that level of greatness. So I would ask you this simple question. In the end, what it comes down to, Max, is this, and I'll ask. As great as LeBron is, how much faith did you have in him until, not right now, but as he was maturing, how much faith did you have in him compared to the faith you had in Kobe?
I want to address that. Kobe gives you the feeling that he always wants it, and because of that, you want that guy on your team. But in fact, if you look at actually what happens frequently, Kobe's teams became less efficient late in games, even in clutch games. LeBron doesn't give you the same...
In the postseason?
Yes.
In the postseason?
Yes. LeBron doesn't give you the feeling that he wants it the same way. If the ball was in his hands, he's not as good at wanting to take and then making the difficult shot. But what you find is LeBron James makes his team better close and late in playoff games. So that's what I would say. And I would say, even if you want to say that wasn't the case and Kobe had that over LeBron late in games, because you just say, oh, forget all that statistical mumbo jumbo. All I know is a lot of times among the all-time great teams, it comes down to those last few seconds. I want the guy on my team who wants it in that moment. That would be the tiebreaker if it was a tie. What I'm telling you is if LeBron doesn't quite statistically match up to Michael Jordan by the most sophisticated metrics, but even then Jordan had that, LeBron didn't. What I'm telling you is it's not that close between LeBron and Kobe in all the other areas that thing puts Kobe over the top.